Welcome back to another episode of Forbidden Depths. I'm your host, Queen Frostbitten, and we're here today to get down, dirty, and sultry by staying open, educated, consensual, and safe. If you're returning, welcome back to another episode. Thanks for supporting the channel and its growth. If, of course, you're new here, make sure you follow, like, and subscribe, because one taste will never be enough. Welcome back to another episode of Forbidden Depths. Today, guys, we have a very, very special guest. I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself to you.
Hi, my name is Madalynn Raye.
Thank you, Madalynn. Now, I've been following Madalynn a little while. Remember to go on over to Twitter because she does have an amazing Twitter. It's at Madalynn Raye, and that's R-A-Y-E. I'll also plug it in the bio so you can find her. So the first question that I have for you today, Madalynn, is how did you become a model in Hustler? That was my first question for you.
In Hustler, yeah. Actually, I was contacted by John Blaylock, and he was like, "Hey, I think you would have a great opinion on this." And I was like, "Me?" And then from there, we just kind of hit it off, and it's just been like random little things here and there, you know, nothing crazy, but I've just had a really good time writing for them and, you know, spouting my little opinions about like mushrooms and pantyhose, things that normally don't go hand in hand.
Well, they're awesome. Like I noticed that kind of about you too. So the diversity in your content, like I fucking love it.
Oh,
like most people have these tiny little niches that they just kind of do one of. And I've noticed that you do several. So kind of what inspired you to be so open, I guess?
I felt just being so compartmentalized into like pantyhose and being a dame or just being one thing was so boring.
Right.
It was boring to me. And I'm like, I hit a hard point where I didn't know who I was in the industry. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's overwhelming. But I just kind of let that go. And now I'm like, hey, look, I'm filming customs today. Hey, look, I'm in my garden. You don't like it? Then I don't know what to tell you because that's who I am. And this makes me so fucking happy. Sorry, can I curse? Am I allowed to curse?
Yes. Oh,
okay.
Yes. We say all the fucks here.
All right, good.
So I love that too. Like I have noticed you are not a public persona type individual. It's one of those things you kind of found yourself and then you just relay that to your fans, to your followers. You're just kind of completely honest. So what kind of sparked you to want to be yourself as opposed to like want to wear a mask?
It was too hard. It was just too hard being like, this is my day job. This is my online job. This is me in front of family and friends. And I'm just like, I got to throw all these masks away. There's too fucking many of them.
Yes.
I'm dropping them. I'm juggling them. It hurt.
You know, that's exactly what I said too. Like it gets to be so heavy that you're no longer you anymore. You lose yourself. And then it's like, there's this forever battle that you have to keep up with. Like, oh, well, my public persona would do this or would say this or would feel this way. And then it's like, you get burnt out. I've noticed so many people that get burnt out that have masks. That's why whenever I started, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to be me and my people are going to find me.
There you go.
It's one of those things that there's no right way to do sex work.
Like, you're absolutely right.
And what's crazy is that so many people believe that there is. So that's kind of where I want to go on my next question. What inspired you to get into sex work to begin with?
So I was young. My first modeling gig was, oh gosh, I think I had just turned 18,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a bondage photo shoot, which eventually led to bondage videos. And
Mm-hmm.
then from there, it was like, this is easy. I'm flexible. The people are nice.
Yeah.
And it was just an easy way for 18, 19-year-old to earn some quick money.
Yeah, for
So that
sure.
was basically where that started.
Now, did you have a connection, or was that like, did you sought out someone for the performing?
It actually went word of mouth, because I started back in the day when One Model Place and Model Mayhem were like all the rage.
Right.
And I was contacted by a glamour photographer and worked with him. And then somebody saw pictures of me and they contacted me, and they were more on the fetish side. So
Mm-hmm.
I worked with them. Somebody else saw the pictures in their portfolio online, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. They're like, oh, she's got a good look, she can handle rope bondage, she's into that sort of thing, let me
Mm-hmm.
contact her and see. And then yeah, it just kind of went from there. Word of mouth was really big.
Yeah. Yeah. And like back years ago, that was the biggest way for you to do your networking to begin with.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, the internet is a little more open and stuff now. Like you have more information at your fingertips, but
Mhm.
networking is still important. I found that it's one of the most important things in our industry. How do you feel
Yeah,
about networking?
I wish I could do more of it. I am basically a little recluse where I am. I don't get to travel or work with others very often, but I do have eyes and ears. I go,
Right.
oh, I want to work with this person, so I pay attention to their content and
Mhm.
how they, how they present themselves online,
Right.
um, just to make sure I think we would be a good fit to work together. But
Mhm.
networking is absolutely important, and also following your gut. You don't have to work with someone
Yes.
just because they have a big following and you think it might help. Listen to your
Yeah.
gut always.
Yes. 100%. I completely agree. So that kind of reminds me of a conversation that I had with someone a little while back, and it was that a lot of people do feel pressure to work with someone because of their following or because of
Yeah.
their brand or because of their
Hmm.
name. And at the end of the day, if that person is not someone that you feel like would bring something to your content, to your brand, it's probably not a good idea because you could regret it at some point
Yep.
in the future. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
Yeah.
So um that kind of leads me to my next question for you. I know you
Mhm.
said that the majority of your start came from networking.
Mhm.
So was that something that was kind of easy for you to get into, or how much work did you have to put in when you initially started?
I feel like it was pretty easy because the producers, they came to me. They were like, "Oh my
Right.
gosh, I love this little redhead with her bright green blue eyes, whatever color they are." Um, and just I had, I guess, a good work ethic. I showed up on time. I was flexible. I could take a
Yeah.
joke, like we could joke back and forth. It felt comfortable.
Right.
Made a lot of great friends. Still friends with them after all these years. And I feel like it was pretty easy. I think nowadays
Mhm.
it's a little harder because there is so much self doing. More people,
Yeah.
I don't know, they're not approaching you. You have to go to them. And that can be
Yeah.
hard for somebody that's, timid or new.
Hmm. And there's a whole lot of saturation too.
Hmm.
Like, and not just in the dom world or not just in the fetish world, but like all around, because there's so many models that come in now because more people are being accepting. And I love it. I love that there are more people being accepting. What is a little crazy is people don't do their research and they kind of get in and then they either get burnt out or they end up in some bad situations and then it's
Yes.
just a negative experience. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I guess if you're listening and you feel like it's something that you want to do, make sure you do your research beforehand. Did
Yeah.
you end up doing your research? I know you said that a moment ago, whenever you decide if you want to work with someone, you do extensive research to decide if that's
Hmm.
compatible. So, kind of tell us a little bit about how you started that process in the beginning. Whenever you decided you wanted to work with someone, what did you look for? What were the key things you looked for?
I looked for, I was kind of snobby, but I looked for how well the product they were producing was. Like if it was
Right.
super dark and like saturated and
Grainy
just,
or something.
yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't, um, so lighting and composition was
Mhm.
a big deal for me.
Right.
And just asking people that I had worked with, hey, so and
Mhm.
so got a hold of me. What is your opinion?
Right. Yeah.
And most of the time, like everybody was real buddy buddy back then because it was just a
Mhm.
few people,
Right.
not how it is now. I don't want to say overpopulated, but everybody's trying to climb that mountain.
Yeah, that's another thing that I want to mention really quick. Like, if you are a new model and you don't know what to look for, don't fall for these like point of view people that have like 10 followers and they're like, oh, well, I'm a producer or I'm a photographer, and they got like 5
Yeah.
followers and they only have like these terrible, terrible scenes and you can't see anything. Like, that's probably going to be a bad situation. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Now, if there was development, maybe they're a new account and they have like good production, you can see stuff on their timeline. It's clear that other people have worked with them. They just don't have a lot of following yet. That's not uncommon, but make sure they're who they say they are first, because there are plenty of people out there that pretend because they want a piece of the industry.
Yeah.
Like, don't do it to yourself.
And don't be afraid to ask for references either.
Yes,
And
100%.
contact those references. Just because they give you 3 names doesn't mean they're real people. Contact the numbers,
Oh
the
my
email
goodness.
addresses. Do it. Do your homework.
Let me tell you, something like that happened to me whenever I was taking on a new client, and I'm so glad. I'm so glad that, you and I kind of have that, mutual thing going on where I'm gonna follow up.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm gonna be there in person interacting with you, I'm gonna follow up. So this guy contacts me and he's like, oh, well, I want to schedule this amount of time with you and I want it to be this. He sends me his list and I'm like, okay, well, you can fill out my application and you can send your references. And he's like, okay. So he sends me 2 references. And then I didn't get to his application until later that day. So by the end of the day, I guess he kind of felt some kind of way, but he messages me back and he's like, well, I actually didn't commit to going to those references. So when you call them, I think they'll remember me. I'm like, what? Like,
Oh my gosh.
and come to find out, he didn't even secure time with these people. He literally just did like he did to me. He's like, hey, I'm interested in serving you. And he never booked, never did anything
Yeah.
other than fill out their little questionnaires that they had. And I'm like, that's not a reference. Like,
Oh.
you can't provide someone like that as a reference. Like, what is going on with you? But he tried to reach out again later. And it's one thing I try to warn people about, especially like new DOMs and new models.
Mhm.
Make sure you do your research, because yeah, it is a great industry. Just like Madalynn was talking about, you have people that make it so good and rewarding for you, but there's the opposite side too. And there's less of it, but it's still there. And
Yep.
you have to learn how to take care of yourself. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So tell me what strengths you think you have that help you be successful in sex work.
I think honestly, like my attitude about it, because
Mhm.
I'm pretty laid back.
And
Like
super
I
positive. Like,
oh gosh. I'm not like overly positive, am I? I'm not one of those people.
no, no.
Okay.
You're just like, I'm gonna make the best out of what I've got, no matter what comes my way. And I love
Okay.
it personally. Like,
Awesome. Thank
I
you.
need more of that.
No, I mean that's just real life. Like you can't just wear the mask all the time.
Yeah.
I'm going to have my good days. I'm going to have my bad days. I'm going to have days where I feel like the most gorgeous sex kitten out there. I'm going to have days I'm going to feel like a little hobgoblin.
Can verify. Listen, I follow her on Twitter and you should too.
It's just being honest, being real, being you. And that's a lot what people are craving is just that authenticity and,
the
you don't,
realness.
that connection through the internet, because we don't get enough in person anymore since the pandemic. Like, that shut everything down. And I think there's like an extra craving now just for that little bit of realness.
And I've noticed that a lot of people like the amateur porn now too. Like, used to
Yeah.
it would be, oh no, everything has to be perfect and everything has to
Yeah.
be professionally shot. And now it's like people are really loving the amateur stuff. So, and with all the platform options that you don't have to go with these big production companies if you don't want to. You can
Exactly.
literally just be yourself and just film it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the industry has shifted so much. And I'm mainly speaking from like the fetish point of view because I've never
Right.
done mainstream pornography. But wow, has it shifted so much, because it was
Yeah.
always, you have to work with the producer and you have to do it this way and this, and the girl always needs the producer.
Yeah.
That ain't shit anymore.
Yeah. And I for one, love that aspect. I love that you can be an entrepreneur. You can be your own agent. You can be, you can be whatever the fuck you want to be. You literally can take it and morph it into whatever you want, and you don't have to have somebody else do it for you. Now, it can be completely life consuming. I will tell
Yep.
you, we work 24/7, but it can be done. You have that flexibility, the freedom to do whatever you want instead of kind of what you're forced to do, like scenes that if you had an agent, you would feel like pressure into doing everything that they sent your way. But I know you get kind of a little bit more consistency with an agent unless you're like on top of shit. I'm going to tell you, there are some days I just don't feel like it and I'm just kind of sluggish. And those are going to be my less consistent days. Like those are the days where I need to take a little time to myself. And that's something that it's hard to find that middle ground unless you're really, really good at balancing time. Right.
Yeah. And that was not me. Like, 2023, I told myself, I was like, you're going to do better. You're going to get off the computer at 8 p.m. You're going to carve out time for you.
Yeah.
I don't care if the email says I will give you $1 million right now for a live show. No, the computer's going off.
Yeah.
And I'm sticking with that. And I have found a lot of solace in it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yes, it's finally coming together after taking this seriously.
I haven't found it yet.
Yeah, you'll get it. Just put it out there and just remind yourself. And it was baby
I've
steps.
been doing it at midnight though.
Okay.
I've been cutting it off at midnight, so I'm starting.
There
Because
you
I
go.
used to work until 3 a.m.
Oh.
And then I'm like, that's not feasible. Like I have a family, I have a job, like 3 a.m. That's not feasible. Although I'm gonna tell you that time slot made some decent money from 12 to 3 a.m. makes decent money. And I'm like, man, I know what's there. So I have a hard time with that.
And it dangles over. It's like the carrot, and you're like,
but you don't always know that that money's going to be there that night though.
Exactly.
And that's the tough part. Like, so it's like, well, there's a chance that it's there, but is me sleeping more important? So I started cutting off at midnight. Now I do have like 2 of my personal pets that I will text sometimes beyond that point because obviously I have a closer relationship. But I'm doing cutoff at midnight, and I'm going to tell you, time management is one of the hardest things because you're like, oh, well, just a couple more dollars, just a couple more minutes.
Yeah.
And it's
guilty.
Like,
I can edit one more clip real quick. I can do this.
And I'm going to tell you, my boss is an asshole sometimes and feels like I should work all the time. So, I know you mentioned earlier kind of that you had a vanilla job too. So what is the difference in the vanilla job and your sex work?
my schedule, the
Mhm.
scheduling is just vastly different. Like I'm one of those people that I'm like, well, if I can put it off as long as possible and I can get it done at the last minute, we're fine. And I do that with sex work, but I did it a lot more with the vanilla jobs and it landed me in some trouble.
Right.
Hot water there. I'm a better boss.
Mhm.
um, but and honestly, the people in sex work are just a lot nicer than in the vanilla
Yeah.
world. And like
Yeah.
I will take
I found
this
that too.
over the office job.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have done all kinds of jobs, man.
Hmm.
Like I have literally some examples. Like I even used to be a customer service
Hmm.
representative. I've worked for a lawyer's office. I've been a secretary in multiple settings.
Hmm.
I was a DJ assistant. Like I've been from one end to the other, and I'm gonna tell you, nothing has been more liberating, more confidence building, more satisfying, more just enjoyable as a whole, and help me develop as a whole than sex work. Like
Yeah.
it's gave me so many tools, right?
I feel that. I also feel like I'm nicer in the customer service area. When I'm responding to an
Mhm.
email or something, I'm just
Right.
like, I'm using nice words. Whereas in vanilla world, I'm sitting there in my brain going, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, when responding.
Yeah. Well, also it's like they're different audiences, right?
Yeah.
So most people you talk to in the vanilla world, they're all
Yeah.
huffy and puffy and grouchy and like shitty and stuff. And then people in sex work are like, I'm here for a good time. You're here for a good
Mhm.
time. Let's kind of make a collaboration here and do something good. You know, it's like that mutual agreement that we're both here for something productive. Because I'm going to tell you, I was treated so many ways. Okay, I used to be a collection specialist for a financial company. I was the person calling you up, being like,
Oh
hey,
God.
I need to help you make your bill payment. You talking about people talking bad to you. Like, "Ooh, let me remind you, you got a bill, bitch." They were very upset. Um, so I'm gonna say that as far as like being positive and like an environment for growth, sex work has been so much for me.
Yeah.
So, Madeline, kind of tell us what sex work has done for you. Kind of how has it helped you develop as an individual?
It has helped me in regards to the different people that I interact with because
Mhm.
everybody has a different communication style.
Oh yeah.
And I really feel that it has helped me. It has immersed me into various ways of dealing with people, both sexually and personally.
Hmm.
Um, in that regard, like some people, they get a little agitated when they have to explain themselves. They're like, what do
Oh
you
yeah.
mean? You just don't know what I want. I don't know.
You can't read minds either.
Yeah.
That was one of the most annoying things for me whenever I started out as a baby dom.
Hmm.
People would come in and be like, "Do you do this?" And they would give like an acronym of two letters and you're like, "What the fuck is that? Why can't they just tell me what they like?" And then this person would be like, "Oh, well, do you do this?" And you're like, "I'm not really familiar with that. Let me go ahead and do my research." And you got to like
Hmm.
Google it or something.
Yeah.
But if if you don't know what something is, or if you're trying to relay something to someone, like spell that shit out. Don't be like, oh, well, let me send a hint and hope that they take what I mean.
Yeah.
Because we're both here to make sure that it is like a positive interaction.
Hmm.
So, communication, effective communication is key because if you tell someone something that's like, maybe you do have a pantyhose fetish and you only have a specific kind of pantyhose that you are attracted to,
Hmm.
right? It
Yep.
has to be this one specific pantyhose. You can't talk to the model and be like, oh, well, I just want a pantyhose clip. And then whenever they send it to you, you're like, this isn't what I wanted.
Yep.
this is the wrong brand, this is the wrong style. And the model's like, you didn't say any of that. You just
Yeah.
said pantyhose. Like, if you want specifics, talk specifics. Don't be like, well, this person should have read my mind. Like, nah, bitch. Like, we wish we could. That means we would get more money.
Be a whole lot easier. But yeah,
Yeah.
so communication wise, it's helped. Financially, it's helped. I take in rescue dogs. Used to. I put myself on
Oh,
hiatus, but ever since the last one, he's been an orthopedic nightmare and has been
oh,
thousands of dollars in reconstructive surgery on his back legs. Sex work has helped that. Without
yeah,
sex work, he would have been euthanized. So
yeah,
thanks, guys.
yeah. That's sad. Like, and I have noticed that most sex workers, not all of them,
Mhm.
are super, super giving. So, gotta add you to that list.
Thanks.
You earned it.
I earned it and then quickly gave it away to
Yeah.
the veterinarian. I was like, here, take this.
Yeah. I have seen a lot of people getting insurance on their pets now, and health insurance on their pets.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was something that I would look into, because I have a dog that has skin issues, and she has allergy issues, and she gets ear infections. I think the people I bought her from were like the backyard overbreeding kind of people, and it was so sad, so sad. But she's been like, she has to take a shot. It's every 4 weeks. She has to take a shot for just allergies, just the allergies.
Yeah.
And the shot is over $200 for one.
Oh God.
And I'm just like,
wow.
I love you. I love you. I want you to know that.
Yeah. Every shot. I love you.
Yeah.
It's filled with love, darling.
Yeah. But it is so crazy that there are so many of us that are connected through caring for others, not just animals, but just caring for others in general. Yeah. Because I've seen so many people that do like GoFundMe pages for people's like surgery, and then for like someone lost their home, and people are like, hey, this person, or maybe they had some kind of medical issue, hey, this person's out of work. Like, I just love whenever the community is giving and involved and supportive. To me, that's one of the reasons I got into sex work in the first place, because I wanted people to know, one, it's okay to be yourself. Two, it's okay to not only find yourself, but to flourish in sex work. And three, it's okay to be different. Like, we're all a little different. You know what I mean?
And even if you don't think you are, bullshitting.
Yeah. Stop lying to yourself, damn it.
Let us know.
So, how long have you been in the industry?
Hold on. I think 2006, since 2006. So it's been over 15 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I only started following you like 4 or 5 months ago. Damn it. Where have I been? Oh.
I don't know. I'm just like, wow, there are so many people, and like, how have I not known about all of them?
Yeah.
I'm on the internet a lot. I creep on Twitter a lot. Like, how?
I do too.
Like, ooh, who's this? Who's that?
Yeah. And when people like have my style or something that reminds me of something that I've worked in before and I have a passion for it, I'm like, ooh, piece of candy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's like, you're adding to my timeline. You're making my day better. You make me a more happier individual. Like, I like positivity. So people that kind of promote that, I'm like, I need more of that in my life. I need reminded, like, that other people are out there living their best life, and I need to live my best life. And yeah. So that reminds me of my next question. Support. Do you have someone that supports you as a sex worker, not necessarily someone in the industry, but someone that's kind of like on the outskirts that's like, I'm happy for you and I want you to live your best life?
I've got a few, and I'm so thankful for that. They've been with me for at least the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've got a couple really good friends that are just like, so what kind of emails did you get today? You know, and I'll tell them and they'll be like, this is the life you live, and I fucking love that for you.
Yeah, fuck yeah, fuck yeah. And some of those conversations are a little out there. I've got some pretty wild requests.
Yep.
So that kind of leads me to my fetish question for you. What is the craziest fetish that someone has asked you to cater to? In your perspective, obviously, that's relative.
So, all in all, like craziest, there was somebody that submitted a request, but they never followed through with it.
Hmm.
And it's raunchy and dirty. But they wanted to talk, they wanted me to talk about how loose my butthole was
Hmm. Okay.
for like 10 minutes and how it got that way and just a lot. And I
Yeah.
don't know if it was like a spoof
Right.
submission because it was off the walls. But it just makes me laugh. I'm like, if this is what you want, I will definitely cater to it for the right amount.
Right?
But I'm gonna sit here and try not to crack a smile the whole time. Um, and then there was one other one that was just tame and very eccentric. Um, Ripping up newspaper
Mm,
while I think in leather boots and like stomping on the newspaper in leather boots, just that ripping and crumpling and
mm.
ripping. That one always
Yeah.
sticks with me too.
I've- I don't think I've had any requests like that.
Yeah.
Hmm. I think um one of the earliest, like oddest ones that I got early on in my career was cheese. This guy, yeah, he loved you to take out the cheese, like it had to be packaged. You had to take the cheese out, the single slices, okay?
Okay.
You unwrap them so that he could see and hear it.
Mm-hmm.
You had to hold the cheese up without bending it. It had to stay
Oh.
straight. And then you had to fit it in your mouth.
What?
Yeah.
I
And then
love
you had
that.
to, yeah. I'm gonna tell you, it was like, I need you to see how many pieces of cheese you can eat in this amount of time. And I can't even remember how many I ate. I just remember that I did not eat cheese for 2 months after that.
I was gonna ask, can you eat cheese today? Single slices.
Yeah, I did not eat cheese for a very long time. I was like, nah, cheese and me just don't get along. Ooh, it was different. It was
Yeah.
just one of those like, I don't like the taste of cheese right now. Because
I
I
can
ate
see it
so
on your
much
face.
cheese. Yeah. I ate so much cheese, I literally got sick. And uh, it's one of those things that, yeah, I wasn't against it. And yeah, I'd probably do it again, but not consistently because
Yeah.
that's not good for your health. Like,
Yeah.
imagine just eating a shit ton of cheese, just yeah.
Yeah,
We
I had a guy that really liked face stuffing videos, eat as much as you can and
Mhm.
like, oh,
Yeah.
my belly's so full. Um,
Mhm.
I had done a few for him and then they requested an apple pie. And I was like, hell yeah, I'll
Mm.
smash a pie. That
Yeah.
came back to haunt me. I guess like eating as much of it as I could, like screwed with my blood sugar. And later that night, like
Yeah.
my body said, no, this is coming back out. And I had to
Damn.
inform, I'm like, we cannot do desserts. Desserts are off the table now.
Yeah. Yeah. And that can be a health hazard too. Like
Hmm.
just like any other thing that we get into, there are hazards
Yeah.
to that kind of work, and that's one of those. And before, like if you're a client and you're reaching out to someone, ask them beforehand, are you a diabetic? Can you do this? Not be like, oh well, if she says no, I'm just going to offer her more money,
Don't
because
be
there
that
are people that
person.
do that.
I
Yeah.
know. I've seen it. And then, yeah, that's
Yeah.
predatory as hell.
Yeah. That's exactly what I say. So my next question for you is going to be, what aspirations did you have as a child?
I was going to be a veterinarian,
I love it.
and I was going to go to Australia for veterinary medicine. There was a
Mm,
university in Perth that I was like, I'm going to do this. And then life crumbled as I knew it, and
mm,
I had to pivot. I had to
mhm.
do other things, and definitely not a veterinarian.
No, but you rescue
I
dogs.
know, close enough.
Yeah.
And with way less financial debt, because once I found
Yeah.
out how much it is to be a veterinarian, I was like, oh no, no, thank you.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It's funny. There were so many things I wanted to be when I was a kid, but veterinarian was on the list of things I wanted to
Yeah.
do. And I got to looking kind of like you did at the expenses. And I'm going to tell you, the education system is
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like, just for something simple, you're paying
Yeah.
out the ass for it.
Yep.
And then it takes you like 50 years to pay it back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, unless you're one of these people that, you're privileged enough to have everything paid for you.
Yeah.
And I wasn't one of those people. I had to pay
No.
for everything out of pocket.
Yep.
So yeah, that's one thing to consider. Like, I'm studying right now to become a software engineer.
Oh, very
So
cool.
that's exciting, but it's very hard. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life.
You got this
I'm
though.
excited about it
You're gonna do it.
because hell yeah, you know, whenever I'm finished with all this, I'll be able to make websites for us. Because how many people do you know that can make websites and apps and just general anything electronic on the internet and is sex work friendly? I don't know of any.
Yeah.
Like, I remember years ago there was somebody that was like, "Oh, well, I can do front end and I can just make websites for you." Well, I want to be able to do it
Mm-hmm.
all.
Yeah.
Like, I want if you want a game made for your role playing, I want to be able to do that. You know
There
what
you
I
go.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things. I just feel like sex work is kind of left behind whenever it comes to that, because you have to depend on these people that want something from you to do work for you. I remember this one time I was trying to get some work done for my brand, and I was talking to them and they were like, "Well, this is the trade-off." So I offered them money to do their
Mm-hmm.
services and they were
Mm-hmm.
like, "No, I want you to sleep with me." And I'm like, "I'm not offering that. Just take my money." And
Please. Yeah.
they're like, "No, this is my price." And I'm like, "Well, then I guess we're not going to do this, are
Oh.
we?" Like, and you will find people like that in the
Mm-hmm.
industry, in the regular vanilla world,
Oh God.
especially the regular vanilla world,
Mm-hmm.
because they see us and they see like an object. They don't see a person, they see an object that can fulfill whatever need they have at the
Mm-hmm.
moment. But um I think sometimes with them, they're so fucking naive and they just think they're just going to do this because it's what they do. They'll fuck everybody. No. And
Surprise.
and the amount of people that get insulted when you're like, "Yeah, no, I'm not going to fuck you." They're like, "But you're into porn. That means you fuck everybody." No, it doesn't.
No. Surprise
No.
again.
No. And I mean, I think that's where you get the people that are like the keyboard warriors and then they start attacking you. "Oh, well, you're just an old, ugly, fat bitch." Like, well, I was extremely hot 5 minutes ago.
The wind blew really,
Yeah.
really quickly.
Oh my goodness. Oh, so that kind of leads me to the next question that I have for you. It's about kink and kind of your preferences. Do you have any soft or hard limits yourself?
So It's really, and I don't do the label thing. I really
Okay.
try to stay away from that, like, who am I? What am I?
Hmm. Right.
Um, but I feel like in order to have a connection with somebody, it really has to be on a mental level.
Hmm.
I think that classifies under demisexuality.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
leans towards that. Otherwise, like there for a while, I was contemplating asexuality. I'm like, meh,
Hmm.
take it, leave it. It's not everybody does it for me.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so as long as there's really good communication and that comfort level, there's a
Hmm.
lot of openness. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I've done a lot. It's not on the
Hmm.
internet, but I've done a lot. Um, yeah. I don't know. Like hard limit wise, I don't have not been what is it? Presented one yet.
Okay.
There are
Okay.
times where I'll just be like, no, I'm not interested now. But
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Um, and like, if you're listening and you don't really know what we're talking about, the soft and hard limits, that's the soft limits are going to be something that could change with time. Hard
Mhm.
limits are definitely fucking no.
Yeah.
So, um, and those can change as you evolve as a person. That's not one of those things that you have to stick to something for, like, you don't have to die on that hill, you don't have to stick with it for the rest of your life because as you get experience, you can become more confident, you can become more comfortable. Also, depending on your company, maybe you trust this person to do that kind of stuff with, but you don't trust this other person.
Yeah.
That's completely normal. So don't feel like you have to have the same soft and hard limits for everyone that you come into contact with either, because that's different too.
Yeah.
So, um, Madeline, how did you find yourself? How did you find that you were kinky? Like, where did it come from?
Oh gosh. I honestly think it happened when I got stuck into a Catholic school on the fly.
Okay.
Yeah. I was a bad kid in junior high, and family didn't like where I was going, so they were like, we're gonna put her in Catholic school and that'll teach her.
I'll show her.
Worked out real well, guys. Good jobber. But yeah, it kind of opened up there
Oh.
in high school. Just I think because of the reservation of the Catholic school and the
Mm.
youths and the hormones butting
Mm.
against that. And though we're
Yeah.
not supposed to do this, but wink, wink,
Yeah.
we're on the band bus together. Wink, it's dark. Um, so yeah, it was teenage years.
Nice. Nice. I love it. And I have found that people that create this Pandora's type box are always going to, well, not always, but the majority of the time, I found that the people that you try to put in this box are the ones that want to escape it so quickly and find all these other things to do to get inside that box. So, like whenever I was younger, something similar happened, but I wasn't exposed to like any kind of I guess private schools or
Hmm.
anything, but I was extremely sheltered, so I wasn't allowed to do anything. I wasn't allowed to like stay all night with anyone. I didn't have like friends over. My
Hmm.
parents were super super reclusive, like they always thought that something bad was going to happen to me. Little did they know that that bad shit already happened to me. But it's one of those things that you cannot navigate and completely control every single environment that your kid or your friend or your relative is in. So give them the tools that they need to survive, right?
Yes. Yes,
Give them the
absolutely.
knowledge that they need, not be like, oh, well, let me just completely shelter them and then that'll keep them on the right path.
Yeah.
No, it won't. No, it won't. Like, we're evidence of that. like like um with my family, it was, oh, we'll just completely avoid the situation, don't talk about the stuff. just keep it out of life completely, and then you won't have to worry about it. You could not be more wrong. Like, people that think that could not be more wrong. And I'm going to tell you, first of all, it's not just strangers that are going to hurt or attack or abuse your kids. It's someone close to you.
Yep.
It could be a friend, it could be a family member, and you don't ever know unless you either catch it or they tell you later on. So why not give them the tools they need? Like, a good example, I was 3 whenever I was raped and molested. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I'm 3 years old. So if I had known, hey, people aren't supposed to do that to you.
Yeah.
I could have been prepared and been like, nah, bitch, don't be fucking touching me. But I didn't, because I was a fucking child that had no knowledge. I was completely in the dark. I didn't know how to defend myself because I didn't even know that was wrong. Like, why would you not want your kid to have those tools? Like, stop sheltering them.
Because it's easier to do that. It's easier to put the blinders up and not say anything about it, because if I don't say anything, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
It magically goes away. Like, no.
Yeah.
That is not how it works. So, that's one of the reasons I wanted the channel itself. I want to be able to educate people. Hey, we are fucking people. We have things go on in our everyday life too. It's not like we sit here in leather and fucking latex all the time just waiting on someone to message us. Like, and then 2, besides the education, we need to spread awareness. Like, not everybody knows that we have good attributes and we're good people. Like, I've met so many kind, giving, good-hearted people from sex work, but everybody just assumes, oh, those are terrible people. They're just out here like being whores all the time. Well, maybe we are fucking whores, but
guess what? We're cool.
Yeah. Why is it so bad to hate sex? Tell me that.
Yeah. What's wrong with you?
Because mine's not broken. Okay. I got stuff that needs to happen. And I'm sure you do too. You just do it in the closet. Because let me tell you, there are plenty of people that I went to school with and people that I grew up with that are now like, you know, you were kind of weird back in the day, but you look kind of hot now. Sure I do, bitch.
Thanks.
Yes. Oh, I remember, oh my goodness, I gotta tell you another story. I was in high school and this basketball player was sitting down at the lunch table with me, and he looks over at me and he's like, you know, you would be so hot if you didn't dress so weird.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what do you mean I would be hot if I didn't dress weird? And he's like, well, you're honestly the hottest person here, but you just look so weird that it's not hot. And I'm like, what? So then I got an OnlyFans like I think it was several years ago. I think a couple years ago, I started up my OnlyFans page, and he ended up subscribing to my page, right? So then he's like, you're looking really good. You filled out really nice. Do you want to hook up? And I'm like, no, I don't. I was like, do you remember that conversation in high school at the lunch table? And he's like, no. And I was like, well, I certainly do. Oh my goodness. So, Madalynn, have you had any experiences like that? Like, anybody from your past come up to you and been like, you're damn fine?
You know, it's been a long time because I moved like 800 miles away from home. I'm like living my own little life here. And what was it? It was before the pandemic when I was home. I thought I had seen somebody in passing and I was like, no, there's no way. And then the next day I have an email and I'm like, son of a bitch. And of course the proposition, oh, I miss you and this and this and it'd be nice to see you while you're in town. And I'm like, delete.
Yeah.
Nope. Not even gonna respond. Not worth it. Had your
That went to my
chance.
spam folder.
Yep. Had your chance. Blew me off.
Yeah. And like, it's one of those things where people don't understand that a little bit of kindness goes a long way. Like, no, I don't want to be with somebody that basically told me I was ugly as fuck. Like, why would I
Right.
want to do that? Instead, I'm gonna be over here and shake my ass and be like, you're never gonna get it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, how are you gonna be so shitty and then be like, oh, well, actually you're kind of hot. Now that your name kind of blew up and so many people are attracted to you, like, bitch, sit down.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So I only have a couple more questions for you
Okay.
because I'm taking up a lot of your time.
You're fine.
So, I know we were talking kind of about schedules earlier about finding your balance. So
Yeah.
tell me how you manage to do that. What do you do for yourself to help you find that balance?
So I've noticed over the last couple years, because it has taken years to find that
Oh yeah.
plateau. Um, but it's seasonal. Like I do a lot of my work during the fall and the winter months. And
Mm-hmm.
then come spring, I'm outside, I'm gardening. And in the summer, I'm traveling as much as I can, which isn't very much, but when I can, to see
Right.
family or just to get a little bit of me time. But just working diligently through the fall and the winter, making sure I have my updates scheduled. That was
Mhm.
something that was very important to me, is making sure that my clip stores are all taken care of.
Mhm.
Everything's done in advance.
And that's a
So
lot of work, guys. If you
it
don't know what
is.
she's talking about, holy hell, to make sure your platforms have content and
Mhm.
regularly, it's a struggle.
But even then, you've got to look at it and go, okay, which ones are my most profitable? I'm going
Mhm.
to focus on these.
Right.
Everybody always says OnlyFans, OnlyFans, OnlyFans. Everybody knows about OnlyFans. For me, it's not even in my top 5 of
Mm.
most profitable platforms. So I
Same.
just I just put up a update once a week.
Mhm.
If somebody needs me, they can email me and get in contact
Right.
with me that way. It just sits there and has its little auto updates.
Mhm.
But just doing those little bits and giving yourself the grace. You don't have
Yeah.
to post every day. You can post once a week. That's fine. But find
Yeah.
that time for yourself and just relax your shoulders, take a bath, read a book, throw your phone like somewhere, hide it in the couch cushion.
Yeah.
Just get off the screen for 5-10 minutes, reset
Yeah.
yourself. And that's what I found has been so important, because just gluing my face to the screen since the pandemic,
Mhm. And it's
that
easy
fucking
to do.
sucked. Yeah, and it is, because you go, ooh, there's a sale. Ooh, somebody emailed me. Let me get back to them. Oh, there's something over here, and you've got 90
Yeah.
tabs open, and you're looping. You're stuck in that loop.
And you have like 50 platforms, like, oh, do I have any DMs over here? Do I have any over
Mhm.
here? Did I update this?
Yeah.
Has anybody said anything to me over here?
Yeah.
And I mean, that's why people hire marketing teams and
Mhm.
social media teams, right? Because there's so much. Like, whenever you go into business for yourself, becoming a model or a content creator or whatever you consider yourself, you have to become the full fucking package unless you're paying
Yep.
someone else to do it. And there
Mhm.
are a lot of hats you have to wear, right?
Yep.
So, um, my last question for you today is going
Okay.
to be, what kind of advice would you give someone that is a new aspiring sex worker?
Don't be afraid to ask questions, and do it politely.
Yeah.
If you have a sex worker that you look up to, find their email and just 2 or 3 questions, you know?
Yeah.
Ding dang doom. Most people, we're nice. We want to
Mm.
help. We want you to be safe.
Yes.
So don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't compare yourself to others. Don't do that.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I was guilty of that whenever I first got
Yeah,
in, because I
absolutely.
started in person as a pro dom, and then whenever I came online, it was just like,
Yeah.
ooh. Because there are so many people, like the saturation is huge. It's in all aspects of sex work, not just like content creators, not just fetish models, not just doms, but like overall. And I remember seeing this one individual, and she was like a couple years younger than me, but she had been into sex work like for several years.
Yeah.
And I was looking at her like, she's younger than me and she's already this successful. Like I felt like I was behind, you know?
Yeah.
And that's one of those things where you have to understand that the circumstances are different, people are different. You also aren't going to have the same audiences. So
Mm-hmm.
don't think that, you know, this person has 100,000 followers. That means they're more important than me, or they're more talented
No.
than me. That don't mean shit.
Mm-mm.
That don't mean shit. And I'm going to tell you one of the biggest secrets. Are you close listening? One of the biggest secrets to getting a following: give away free shit.
Yeah.
Like if you post a bunch of just like selfies, you're not going to have as many people following you, right? Because you're not giving them anything. If you want a huge following, you got to start by giving things freely to your clients, to your consumers, to your followers, because that gets them incentive to follow you, right? If you'll notice the giant ass accounts. Now, I'm not saying just go give away free news. That's not what I'm saying, because I don't give away free news. But the bigger accounts do.
Yeah.
People with 100,000 followers, they give away free shit all the time. I'm gonna tell you, I was a little disappointed. I'm not gonna say whose OnlyFans it was, but whenever I came into sex work, there was this person that I really, really enjoyed, like really, really enjoyed. And I was like, I'm definitely getting this person's OnlyFans because very attracted, pansexual. Let's go. So I sign up for this person's OnlyFans, and I'm looking through the feed, and all of the stuff that they were sharing on Twitter is more involved, more intimate, and like more nude than what they had on their OnlyFans page.
Interesting.
I know. I was like, I think I'm lost.
Did I take a wrong
I think
turn?
I signed up for the wrong thing. So I noticed that this person literally just used their OnlyFans page like Instagram.
Wow.
Yeah, just posted random shit. And if you wanted any of the intimate stuff, you had to go pay for it in the DMs. And I was like, how you gonna post all this awesome good shit on Twitter and then use your OnlyFans feed like a fucking Instagram? And then I gotta go, because I already paid a subscription fee. What's the subscription fee for? Like, and that's why whenever I eventually decided to do OnlyFans myself, I was like, I'm not going to be that person. I'm not going to break somebody's heart and let somebody down like that and be like, they're here for this reason, but I'm going to trick them so they have to buy something else. So I have 2 pages for that reason. I have my VIP page, and then I have just a regular teaser page. On my teaser page, you essentially get everything but like the naughty bits.
Yeah.
And I even throw topless stuff in there sometimes on my teaser page, but you don't get like deep naughty bits unless you own VIP. So
There you go.
it's one of those things. I didn't want whoever signed up to be like, well, I think I took a wrong turn somewhere, because I was that consumer. I was like, it's so sad.
But see, you learned something from that, and you were able to utilize it into your own strategy.
And that was my take on it. Like, and I ended up subscribing to a ton of people's OnlyFans because 1, I was inspired by them. 2, I wanted to learn from people that were fucking good. And I didn't want to be one of these people that were out here being like, oh, I expect you to give me all this knowledge that you have from your years of experience and me being a baby. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that was disrespectful for me. So I was like, well, if I want to learn from these people, I'm going to go subscribe to their page and see how they do things.
Yeah.
Because if you do that, if you're a new sex worker and you do that, they're going to be even more giving. Like if you sign up for one of their paid pages and you're like, oh, I fucking love this. Thank you so much for sharing it. They're going to be like, I see you. I know I do. I appreciate those people. You know what I mean?
It lets you know that they're putting in the effort. They're not just sitting there with their hand out going, I'm ready. They're doing their own homework as well, which is so important. Like,
yes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like whenever I got into sex work, in the beginning, everybody was like holding their nose up, like snobbish, like especially people from like my vanilla world in the past. They're like, I don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah.
And then whenever the pandemic hit,
You're
there
like,
were so
hey,
many
how
of
do you
them.
do this?
Yes.
Yep, been there, done that.
And I was like, but like 2 years ago, you were angry that I was selling panties on the internet. You were like telling me that I was a piece of shit. So now you want to know how to sell your socks?
Yeah.
It's funny how that happens, right?
Yeah, right? Hilarious.
Thank you guys for coming to join us for the episode today. Also, remember, get on over to Madelynn's Twitter page. It's at Madalynn Raye. Convenient. She's so amazing that she actually has her links there for you. MadalynRaye.com.
It's there.
Yeah. You don't even have to type it in. You just go click on it. Also, wait, I do have one more question.
All right.
So if someone wants to book you, do they email you at the email you have on your Twitter?
I would say, yeah, go for it. I don't really travel much. My main shtick is custom videos now. Every now and then I can do a chat session, but it's really few and far between. Customs keep me busy. So, but yeah, email is always a good way to contact me. I don't bite most of the time.
Unless you pay her to.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being so amazing, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
I thank you. Have a great one.
Thank you. You too.
Hey, it's Queen Frostbitten again, your host. I just want to remind you that you can follow us on YouTube at Forbidden Depths. That's FORBIDDENDEPTHS. Or over on Twitter at the number 4 BIDDENDPODCAST. Remember to always stay educated, consensual, and safe. We'll see you on the next show.